take on this role, which is a pretty significant person in the grand scheme of things. What is there a moment where you're like almost kind of intimidated by it, afraid of it, or you just kind of seize the moment and not think about who you're playing?
I took it as a miracle that this role came my way, that the possibility even happened. Jesus, for me as a child, he was my first superhero. I didn't read comic books, I read the Bible. So, and then as an actor, it was the role I always wanted to play. But it became a joke. I never thought it would actually happen. So when it did happen, I took it as a miracle. I was like, this is actually happening. And then I had to think, well, how am I going to do it?
Right.
What am I going to do? So I took a vow of silence. That was my approach. In preparation, I lived alone for a month, preparing my own meals, and I didn't speak to anybody.
Interesting. Is there a way, obviously you have a script, there is the Bible, are there other ways to research the historical Jesus, from historical records or from...
Well, because of my childhood, I
Right.
knew a lot about Jesus, the historical stuff. I'm not a theologian, I'm not a historian, so from a layperson's point of view, I had a fair amount of... I've been preparing for the role most of my life, in that sense. He was a carpenter, I was a builder. He was a man, I was always interested in spirituality. I've always had an interest in that.
Is there...
I thought I was going to be a priest, as a kid.
Oh, interesting.
And turned into an actor.
How does priest turn into actor, do you think? What changes along the way?
I think a crisis of faith, and then life, you get caught up in life, wondering what you're going to be. And acting for me is somebody who doesn't really, for me, is the experience of somebody who wants to treat life as an adventure and explore life. So acting is great for that. Whereas a priest is somebody who has a vocation and knows exactly what their purpose is in life. And I to be honest, I wasn't that as a young man. I didn't know, absolutely.
Right.
I didn't have that calling.
Right. You said you took sort of a vow of silence, you kept to yourself. That's sort of extended in the way the character is on screen. He doesn't have a lot of dialogue for most of the time we see him. Is it difficult to act a character without saying much?
Look, I couldn't pretend to be Jesus. That would be terrible of me. But what I could do is I could be quiet. I could put my ego aside and not pretend, and also not talk about it and not act about it, but try to contemplate love and what that is, and to be in the presence of that. And that's really all I did. It's very simple, not easy. It is a simple task, but it's not an easy one.
Is there
Try contemplating love for hours a day.
Right.
It's beautiful. It's an amazing thing to do.
But difficult to do with a lot of with the real world.
We've got so many things we have to do. The kids, the wife, the job, the taxes. We have so many things we have to do. The career, everything we have to do in our lives. How many hours a day do we spend contemplating love? Honestly. And I was blessed to have the opportunity that was my job.
Before I go, do you have a favorite cinematic Jesus from the films that you've ever seen that you really admired?
Well, I think, it's impossible to go past Jim Caviezel's, and it was a beautiful, beautiful representation. And then I'm blanking now, the British actor with the blue eyes and the curly hair. It was the one that I was a kid. I forgot his name now, but he was. I've forgotten. Good question though. But I think they're amazing.
Thank you very much.